Hey, everybody. The following podcast is an update about my health, my mindset, my psyche after a year of being not a caregiver. So I hope you enjoy the show. If you have a chance to upgrade your bed and mattress situation, you should definitely check out Nectar and check out all the links and enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the show. Good morning, everybody. This is Judith A. Culp. You're listening to Mad Love. Let's get into it. Uh, I don't know if I announced it on the podcast, but March, we've reached a year anniversary of the newsletter for caregivers, Refuel. We're still in the top 30% on Beehive, even with an abbreviated release schedule. As soon as it goes out, it gets right back in the top 30. Which I ran through Gemini, the AI platform, and they were like, that's kind of a big deal. So even though I don't have a large subscriber list, the people who do subscribe are very, very active and committed, and most of them read the newsletter. And that's really cool. So thank you for that. It's our year anniversary this month. And I'm going to be doing some other things. This month is, of course, is going fast because everything just goes fast, but my energy is better. And I've made a point to tell you guys that, but I also want to stress, because I did talk about it when I purchased it, my bed, I got it from Nectar. Don't believe the ads. They will have an ad up there saying you can get it delivered and you can carry it up to your apartment as a single woman and put it together. Like, that's all lies. The bed got here. The only thing I didn't enjoy about the experience was the delivery. For us, Federal Express, there's something about my building. Federal Express will not take things up the stairs. They will bring it nowhere near your unit. They just sort of set it randomly somewhere. So this thing was super heavy, and they set it at the back stairwell, and I was really losing my mind trying to figure out how I was going to get this heavy, heavy bed moved into the elevator and into my unit, because at least when I got it to my unit, I could drag it. So it turns out that I had a neighbor, and I'm sure he's still sorry to this day that he pulled up at the exact same time. And actually hasn't pulled up there at the exact same time as I have ever since last April when I got this bed. And he had a little cart in his storage unit, and we struggled together, but we got it up into the unit. And he would not take money, but I did buy him and his I don't know if they're married or not, but they live together, and they're older, they're great, great neighbors, and I bought them a bottle of wine. So anyway, I'm saying all that to say, the only thing I didn't like is the delivery. FedEx is terrible. And I was very fortunate that my neighbor was able to help me get this bed up here, and I was in a great space, so I was able to pay someone to come and assemble the bed. You don't want to everything's so heavy, you don't want to try to do it yourself. Anyway, now to the good part. So last year this time, I remember sitting up and I was in pain. My head, my neck, both shoulders, one hip more than the other, down to my knee, down to my feet. I just had pain. I had pain, I think, on both sides, but it was really more pronounced on the side I sleep on the most. And I was like, man, this is horrible. And I was just in agony, and standing up and sitting up was horrible. And I just realized the other day that I don't have any of that pain anymore. And it literally was the bed. And I know a lot of you looked up the pricing and was like turned off by that, but if you really can swing it and you are in a ton of pain, look at your mattress. You may not need to go with something as expensive as, and I didn't even go with the highest. The thing that cost the most, I think, was getting the headboard. But it was important to me to have a grown up bed. Like, I hadn't really explored being a grown up as much as I could have in my life. And I was like, this is my first real major bed purchase, so I'm going to make it nice. And so, yeah, all of that's super heavy. But once you get it to your house, if they actually deliver it and make it so you can get it inside, you can hire somebody. It took him like next to nothing to put it together. I mean, he was here maybe 30 minutes. Um, and he put it together. It was not that expensive. And it's been a dream to own. Like, I love this bed. And I just realized, because, I'm kind of slow on certain things. That's so weird to me. I can be super fast on the uptake for most things, but a lot of things dealing with me personally, I don't notice a lot. And because it didn't happen overnight, I didn't notice. But now I don't have that pain. And that is huge. So that's one big thing for me, or for people who have listened to this journey that I've been on and wonder if I'm okay. Yeah, I'm getting better. Like, I really do feel so much better physically. And I look at what my life had become, and when you make that kind of commitment, it's a sacrifice. There's no doubt about it. And I don't feel bad about it. I do it again. But you don't realize how much you're neglecting yourself. So anybody who's taking care of someone, I would just suggest, if you can find somewhere in your budget to get some help, you don't know how dramatically that will improve your situation. But also, like, if your person doesn't need 24-hour nonstop attention, go for a walk, go to the gym, um, go get a professional haircut, go out and do something, go to a park, go get an ice cream cone. Just do something for yourself and prioritize your own comfort, because you don't realize how much of a toll it's taking on you. Like, when I tell people that I had about 2 minutes in the shower, they'd be like, what? And I'm like, yeah, because she was a candidate to walk out. I would try to get her settled in the bed, and the noise from the shower bothered her. So I stopped showering in the mornings to go to work because I didn't want to risk waking her up. So you get in there at, 7 o'clock at night because she's in the bed, kind of, and at least she's kind of settled. And then you just take a shower as quickly as you humanly can and get dressed. So, you can't chase her outside with no clothes on. So you just always had to be on alert. And you take a quick shower and you just get used to it. And now to be able to stand under the hot shower, for 5 minutes, which is probably not good for the planet, but it feels great to me, because, people don't realize, like, the amount of sacrifice that you make as a caregiver is enormous. And I was still working full time. And I mean, I look back and I'm surprised I made it. But I was I was ruthlessly efficient. And my schedule was like clockwork. And it relied on everybody showing up on time. And I made it work. But, it was at an extreme sacrifice for me, because I'm not old, but I'm not super young either. And I don't know. The stress of that, and an old mattress and all of that. But, I don't want to ramble on too much about that. But you should get yourself a bed. If you have body pain, budget for a nice bed. It will definitely help you. I don't have any of those pains. And I just realized that. Seriously, like, I don't know, sometime earlier this week, I was like, I really don't hurt as much as I used to. And I'm very thankful for that. I've had a year of focusing on my sleep, focusing on my health, and this time last year I was still very, very stressed out. My mom hadn't been gone that long. We had just gotten past her life celebration or celebration of life. And then the paperwork was setting in, and then Doge had closed everything. Then I realized my brother didn't have his paperwork in order. And there was just so many things I was tending to because people don't realize it, but as a human on this planet, in America, there's a ton of administrative paperwork that comes with your life, especially if you worked, especially if you had life insurance, especially if you own a house or anything like that. So over the years, thankfully, Alzheimer's moves pretty slow. So I was able to get all her paperwork done, but it was just, you know, a lot. It was overwhelming at times, but I feel so much better than I did this time last year physically, um, and spiritually and emotionally. I just am calmer. I feel better. I've been able to focus on my businesses. When I look at, you know, my company and what I was doing, and I was renting cars. Like, I had a very successful business, and I noticed everything stopped around 2022. And I look and I think, oh, that's when she stopped sleeping. So I've been in arrested development from probably July of 2022 till she passed away in December of 2024, but also all of last year. Because, you know, like I said, you're going 250 miles an hour. When you hit the brake, you don't stop. You just slide. You skid. And so last year was my skid year. I didn't feel well last year, probably until physically I didn't start feeling better till probably the end of the year. But it was super stressful. I mean, quitting a job or actually still working and trying to handle all that stuff was stressful. Getting adjusted to a new boss who didn't have a great communication style, that was stressful. Um, you know, Finding out that all the goodwill I thought I had built up really wasn't there and starting to be micromanaged. I was like, dude, you gotta be kidding me. I can't take it. I physically could not take it anymore. And, I just thought I wasn't gonna make it. I knew I physically could not endure that anymore. And I don't suggest anybody do what I did, but I knew I could fall back on talent because I have talent. Um, but yeah, I don't suggest doing it my way. Make a plan, have a strategy, maybe have some investors, maybe have some savings. That would be smart. But, if your life depends on it, then I get it. Go. Because for me, my blood pressure was not going down. It was really affecting me. I was not enjoying my day at all. And, in my office's case, just so much talent had been drained out of the building that it made the work 10 times harder because I had more experience than a lot of the people who were getting paid to have the experience had. So, yeah, it was rough. It was rough. But I do want to report that a year later, I am in a much better space. I feel good. I'm launching new projects, but mostly growing and scaling the ones that I have been working so hard on. I poured heart and soul every issue into Refuel. I still do. And we're going to build a bigger community. I have energy for that now. And, in the ways that you can support, I appreciate it. But also, I want people to understand the community that we build is the community that will be there to support caregivers because there is no other one. And, in my experience, there weren't a lot of people who could help you. Now, I'm sure if you called your Alzheimer's organization, they would have some stuff for you, I guess. But I called mine. they wanted me to come to meetings and stuff. And I was like, I work full time. I'm not going to take any time that I have away from caregiving to go sit in meetings for Alzheimer's. I'm just not. And I think there are more expansive and modern ways to support people. And it would be nice if they did that. And some people don't want to sit around in groups and chat. Some people don't want a list of phone numbers to call. Some people want resources. They want help. They want a they want bodies to come in and help them. They want money. And I feel like that's if we're not talking about money, what kind of resources are we talking about? Because that's what people tell you. There's so many resources. It's like, but it's not. It's not that many resources. And then you have to figure out, you know, how how are these nonprofits or any of these places designed to really support you? And maybe St. Louis just isn't good at it. Maybe Missouri is not a leader in that area because a lot of this depends on your state. So, and it's work. And if you're already doing caregiving, no one wants to sit up and call all these places and figure things out. So I get it. But I don't want to make this about, bitching and complaining because it's not. I enjoyed my time with my mom largely. I really did. It was horrible, but I enjoyed having that time with her. And I feel like we got closer. And it was important to me to do it. It had to be done, and I stepped up to do it. I was not going to see her just be handed off to strangers or laying in some place neglected. Just wasn't going to do that. There are some people who are fine with doing that. I'm not one of them. And so, it just, I had quite a time. It was very challenging, but I have come out of it a better person. And a year later, I feel very, very good. I'm sleeping. I'm rested. I'm watching what I eat. I just feel really, really good. And I feel poised for something great to happen in my career. And finally, to connect the dots of the person I was trying to become at Howard and the woman that I am now. It's only been about a 35-year gap in that, but I'm a constant student, so it is what it is. I don't mind. I don't feel like I'm behind. And you got to trust God's timing, which is the hardest thing for me to ever do. It's definitely the toughest, but stay tuned. There are some very cool things coming. And Refuel has been a blessing for me and a way to share my story and to really wrap my arms around caregivers because it's the toughest job that you'll never get paid for with money, but you get paid in other ways. And that's important to remember, right? So today is another Friday the 13th, so please take care of yourselves. If you feel lucky, I'm happy for you. I think the movies try to make us think Friday the 13th was a terrible thing, but we're still here. It's a crazy, crazy world. It's a lot of crazy shit going on. You got to decide who to believe. Use your discernment. And when you still have questions, right from wrong. You know what rings true and what doesn't. Trust your gut. This is a time to practice discernment in the most extreme ways because not a lot of people are invested in telling you the truth. But I am. And in everything I say, go look it up. You don't have to trust me either. You got to trust yourself and trust that God has got your back and is putting the right people in front of you to tell you what to do and how to feel. But no one can really do that. You get to decide how you feel and what you're going to do about it. But if you are looking for advice, make sure that you ask God to show you only the people who have your best interest at heart. Maybe I should say that. That's the only way to get a spiritual #1 podcast is to be authentic. Because there are a lot of people out here giving you bad advice and they don't care. They don't care what happens to you or your family. But I do. So please be safe, be well, take care of yourselves, and we'll talk soon. Have a great weekend.